We're following this developing news. Long Beach police responding to the newly opened Marathon Burger in Long Beach. News Chopper 4 was up over the downtown area earlier today where we saw several police vehicles outside of the restaurant. Right there, you could see them. Police tape stretching across the parking lots as well as into some apartments. Today was the grand opening of that new Marathon Burger location. Plenty of people.
The situation turned deadly. One person lost their life, several civilians were hit by gunfire, and the attackers reportedly came looking for Blacc Sam at what should have been a peaceful family celebration. This wasn't just another random shooting. It marked the second time violence connected to gang tensions exploded at a Marathon Burger location, and the full story behind what happened is seriously shocking. Blacc Sam had been focused on carrying forward his brother's vision, trying to build something positive for the neighborhood and keep the mission alive. But the reality of Long Beach street politics had other plans. What was supposed to be a proud grand opening for Marathon Burger suddenly turned into chaos, and it exposed just how complicated things can get when business, reputation, and local tensions collide in certain communities. And to really understand how a joyful family moment turned into a crime scene, you have to rewind the story back to where it all began. When Nipsey first imagined Marathon Burger, this idea was never just about selling meals. The real goal was economic power, creating opportunity, and giving the neighborhood something meaningful that symbolized progress and growth. Nipsey spoke often about ownership and independence. He believed in building businesses that hired people from the area and kept money moving inside the community instead of flowing straight to huge corporations that had no connection to the neighborhood. After Nipsey passed away, Blacc Sam stepped up and worked to continue that same vision with serious dedication. And the truth is, the first Marathon Burger location in Los Angeles actually became a success story. The Crenshaw spot pulled in big crowds, created local jobs, and showed that positive businesses could thrive in places outsiders had written off for years. People didn't just stop by for the food, they came to support what Nipsey stood for and the message behind it. For many supporters, it felt bigger than a restaurant. It felt like being part of something meaningful. The LA opening faced challenges like any new business, but the community showed up strong. Celebrities showed support. Local families made it one of their regular spots, and young people were getting paychecks instead of getting pulled into trouble. For a moment, it really looked like Nipsey's vision was working exactly how he imagined. That success showed something powerful. Real economic growth could happen even in neighborhoods that major companies had ignored for years. It proved that when people invest back into their own communities, things can start changing in a real way. But here's where the situation starts getting complicated. When you build something big in certain areas, especially when your name carries serious recognition, you're not just dealing with hungry customers anymore. You're stepping into local politics, long-standing tensions, and people who might see your success as either a threat or an opportunity. In many neighborhoods, success can bring attention you didn't ask for. When a business starts winning, it can also place a spotlight on the people behind it. Not everyone celebrates that kind of progress, and sometimes that spotlight brings pressure from different directions. Blacc Sam made the call to expand the Marathon brand into Long Beach, and that decision is where the risks really started to grow. Long Beach has its own complex street history, its own alliances, and long-running territorial disputes that go back decades. When a high-profile business opens in that kind of environment, it automatically becomes part of the local conversation whether the owners plan for it or not. At that point, you're not just another entrepreneur opening a restaurant. You become a symbol, a statement, and in some cases, a person everyone is watching. And here's another key detail. This wasn't even the first time tension had appeared around a Marathon Burger location. There had already been signs of pressure building, moments that showed these spots were attracting both strong community support and unwanted attention at the same time. Even with those challenges, Blacc Sam stayed committed to the mission. He wanted to continue the work his brother believed in and keep creating opportunities for the community. The Long Beach expansion wasn't some random move. It was a strategic step meant to grow the Marathon brand and prove that Nipsey's vision could reach beyond just one neighborhood. But expanding also meant stepping into new environments, new rivalries, and new groups of people who might not fully respect or understand what the business was trying to build. The trouble actually started building before the restaurant even opened its doors. Long Beach has very defined territories that have been established for decades, and those lines are taken seriously by the people who live in those areas. One of the most active crews in that region is known as the 80s, a group with long-running conflicts involving several other crews across the city. These aren't simple neighborhood arguments either. These are deep rivalries that have lasted generations, where even small acts of disrespect can trigger serious retaliation. In environments like that, showing up in the wrong place at the wrong time can create major problems. So when a grand opening gets announced with celebrities, business figures, and community leaders all gathering in one location, it naturally attracts attention from every direction. Events like that can pull in supporters, fans, and sometimes people who show up looking to make a statement. For some individuals tied to local rivalries, a high-profile event becomes an opportunity to be seen, to send messages, or to challenge rivals in public. According to several witnesses who were present that day, one young man connected to the 80s reportedly showed up alone to the grand opening. Now that alone raised eyebrows. Pulling up solo into an area where tensions already exist isn't typical behavior unless someone is extremely bold or trying to prove something. Witnesses said the man began openly disrespecting rival groups right in the middle of the Marathon Burger celebration. And remember, this was supposed to be a positive family event. Big names like Snoop Dogg, Big Boy, and YG were in attendance, community members were celebrating, and cameras were everywhere. Yet in the middle of all that attention, the individual was reportedly flashing gang signs and making hostile remarks toward rival crews. But according to sources at the scene, the behavior wasn't quiet or subtle either. People say he was calling out rivals directly and acting aggressively in a crowd filled with individuals connected to opposing groups. What was meant to represent unity and progress suddenly had tension building in the air. The disrespect happening at the event was so obvious that people felt it couldn't just be ignored without some kind of response. But the wildest part of the situation is what happened next. Instead of immediately causing chaos, several of the rivals who were at the event actually approached Blacc Sam directly. They weren't trying to ruin the grand opening or disrespect the family event connected to Nipsey's legacy. Instead, they were trying to warn him that the situation was getting out of control and that the guy causing problems needed to leave before things turned ugly. Witnesses say the conversation was tense but still respectful. The rivals explained who the individual was and why his behavior was dangerous in that environment. They made it clear that his actions, throwing signs, talking aggressively, and calling people out, were pushing things to a level that couldn't just be brushed aside. From what people at the scene described, the message was simple but serious. They reportedly told Blacc Sam that if the situation wasn't handled soon, they would eventually have to respond themselves, and that response could easily turn violent at an event meant to celebrate the community. And just when things were already tense, the situation escalated even further. 3 more individuals connected to the 80s showed up at the location. Now suddenly there were 4 of them standing in a crowd where many rivals were present. What was supposed to be a peaceful grand opening now had layers of tension building fast. The new arrivals reportedly had no idea what had already happened inside. From their point of view, they simply saw their friends surrounded by people they considered enemies. That kind of scene can instantly make people assume the worst. Meanwhile, the rivals continued telling Blacc Sam the same thing. The situation needed to be resolved before it exploded. Blacc Sam found himself in a tough position. He wanted to keep the event peaceful and protect the positive message behind the restaurant, but he also understood the seriousness of the tension unfolding around him. So he made a decision aimed at calming everything down. According to reports, Blacc Sam agreed that the group would be escorted away from the property safely. The goal was simple: remove the tension and prevent anything from happening at an event meant to honor his brother's vision. From his perspective, this was about keeping the peace. He didn't want violence breaking out during a community celebration, but he also didn't want anyone being harmed on the property connected to his family's legacy. It was a delicate moment where one wrong move could change everything. Blacc Sam was trying to find a solution that respected everyone involved while keeping the family event calm and under control. That day in Long Beach was supposed to be about something positive. The grand opening of Marathon Burger had brought together celebrities, community leaders, and families from all around the area. Kids were there, people were smiling, and the whole event was meant to represent the exact vision Nipsey used to talk about when he spoke on economic empowerment and investing back into underserved communities. And there were speeches happening about growth and opportunity. Local leaders were talking about development. Kids were getting free food, and supporters were celebrating what the Marathon brand represented. For a moment, the energy was all about hope and progress. But the mood started shifting the second Blacc Sam and several people from his team began walking those 4 80s members toward the exit. What nobody realized at that moment was that the situation outside was getting more dangerous by the minute. Multiple cameras and live streams were rolling, and what was about to unfold would end up being seen by people everywhere. According to witnesses at the scene, Blacc Sam approached the four individuals calmly and respectfully. He reportedly told them, "I appreciate y'all coming. I appreciate the support for what we're building here, but the politics is politicking right now. Y'all gotta go, but we're gonna escort y'all to safety. Where did y'all park at? We're gonna make sure y'all get to your cars without any problems." The group agreed to leave because they trusted that the escort would help them get away from the situation safely. From their perspective, they believed they were being guided off the property and back to their vehicles without anything happening. But there was something important they may not have fully understood. Blacc Sam's main focus was keeping order at the restaurant and protecting the event tied to his brother's legacy. His responsibility was to the business, the guests, and the community gathered there, not to get pulled deep into ongoing rivalries happening across the city. So the group started walking toward the parking area with Blacc Sam and several members of his team alongside them. The distance from the restaurant entrance to the edge of the property wasn't very far, but in tense situations, even a short walk can feel long. During those moments, emotions were rising. People were watching closely, and the atmosphere around them was becoming more and more uneasy as they moved closer to the edge of the property. When they finally reached the edge of the Marathon Burger property, Blacc Sam stopped walking. That's when he made his position clear. He told the 80s members, "This is as far as we can take y'all. We're not getting involved in Long Beach politics. Y'all on your own from here." This was him drawing a firm line. He helped get them off the restaurant property safely, but he wasn't about to escort anyone through rival territory or step into street conflicts that had nothing to do with his business or his brother's vision. The second Blacc Sam and his team stepped back from the situation, everything shifted fast. Witnesses say the rivals rushed in almost instantly. Now it was four guys surrounded by what people described as nearly 100 others. The numbers alone made it clear this wasn't going to be a fair situation. People started pushing, swinging, and chaos broke out from every direction as the group got overwhelmed in the crowd. According to people who saw it unfold, many of those rivals had been waiting for that exact moment. The tension from earlier inside the restaurant hadn't gone away. That earlier disrespect was still fresh in everyone's mind. And once the group stepped off the property, things exploded. But then the situation took an even more dangerous turn. The same young 80s member who had been talking aggressively earlier, the one many say started the whole confrontation, suddenly pulled out a gun and began firing, trying to force people back and create space for his crew to escape. That's the moment everything changed. What started as a physical confrontation instantly turned into a life-threatening situation. Once gunfire begins in a crowded area with hundreds of people nearby, the danger spreads far beyond the people involved in the conflict. And here's the harsh reality about situations like this. When one person pulls out a weapon thinking it will end the problem, it often does the opposite. In environments where many people may also be armed, one shot can trigger a chain reaction nobody can control. That's exactly what witnesses say happened next. As soon as the shots rang out, others reportedly pulled out weapons and started firing back. Suddenly, bullets were flying in multiple directions while civilians scrambled for safety. Families were ducking behind cars, people were running in every direction, and the entire scene outside Marathon Burger turned into pure chaos in a matter of seconds. Just minutes earlier, that same parking lot had been full of people celebrating a new community business, smiling, eating, and supporting something positive. But in a matter of seconds, the entire scene flipped into chaos. Footage from that day shows a situation that's honestly hard to watch. You can see people running in every direction as the gunfire starts. Blacc Sam is seen trying to get to cover while helping someone from his group who had been hit in the leg. In the middle of all that confusion, Barry Gordon from No Jumper was also at the scene and later told police, "I think I got shot," while still trying to process everything that had just happened. Civilians were diving behind cars, people were yelling for help, and the ground that had just been filled with families and kids suddenly had injured people lying there. The contrast was shocking. Just moments earlier, children had been playing nearby, and now the entire area had turned into a frightening emergency scene. During the exchange of gunfire, two individuals connected to the opposing group were also hit. Reports say their injuries were not life-threatening, leg wounds and grazing injuries, and they were taken to the hospital where they later recovered. But the young 80s member who had started the confrontation earlier didn't survive. He collapsed at the scene and never made it to the hospital. Even more disturbing, parts of that moment were captured on a live stream while people watched online. What shocked many viewers wasn't just the violence, it was the reaction happening on the stream. While the situation was unfolding, someone on the broadcast could be heard saying, "Keep gifting, guys," and thanking viewers for donations while a seriously injured person was on the ground fighting for his life. That moment left a lot of people questioning how social media can sometimes turn real-life tragedy into content. The gunfire had erupted so close to the Marathon Burger entrance that many people attending the event were still within range when everything happened. Several civilians were hit, people who came simply to support a new business and celebrate something positive for the community. These were families, supporters, and local residents who had nothing to do with any rivalry but suddenly found themselves caught in the middle of a dangerous situation. When authorities arrived, the scene quickly turned into a major investigation. Long Beach police responded with multiple units, paramedics rushed in to treat the injured, and news helicopters hovered above, capturing the aftermath from the air. Police tape stretched across the parking lot. Several areas were marked as crime scenes, and ambulances moved quickly to transport victims to nearby hospitals as investigators began piecing together exactly what had happened that day. The crime scene ended up being massive because the shooting happened in such a crowded area. Investigators had to deal with a complicated situation, interviewing large numbers of witnesses, collecting evidence from different parts of the parking lot, and trying to piece together exactly how everything unfolded. With so many people present, figuring out the full sequence of events wasn't simple. And according to reports, many witnesses were hesitant to speak openly with investigators because they feared possible consequences from the streets for cooperating with law enforcement. In the immediate aftermath, many well-known figures who had attended the grand opening were left shaken by what they had witnessed. Snoop Dogg had come out to support Nipsey's legacy and celebrate a positive community project, only to end up experiencing violence at what was supposed to be a hopeful event. Big Boy, who often highlights local businesses on his radio platform, saw firsthand the challenges that sometimes come with investing in areas dealing with long-standing tensions. YG, who grew up in similar environments, reportedly saw how quickly progress and opportunity can be disrupted when street conflicts spill into public spaces. According to sources connected to the situation, several high-profile attendees left the event deeply unsettled by what happened, and that's where the deeper impact begins to show. The tragedy didn't just involve injuries and loss. It also created concern about future investment in neighborhoods that already struggle to attract businesses and development. Events like this can make potential investors think twice, even when the community itself wants positive growth. The ripple effects went far beyond the celebrities who attended. Local families who brought their children to what they believed would be a safe celebration were left traumatized by the chaos they experienced. Community leaders who had promoted the restaurant as a symbol of progress suddenly had to answer difficult questions about how an event meant to inspire hope turned into a crisis. Moments like this can reinforce negative perceptions about certain neighborhoods and make it harder for future entrepreneurs to receive support for similar projects. And while the public conversation focused on the business and community impact, tensions on the streets were also rising. A young member connected to the 80s had lost his life that day. In environments shaped by long-standing rivalries, losses like that can intensify conflict and lead to fears of retaliation. The painful irony is that the cycle of violence Nipsey often spoke out against ended up surfacing at an event meant to celebrate his mission of progress and positive change. The death of that young 80s member didn't just mark the loss of one life, it also raised fears about what might come next. In places where long-standing rivalries already exist, one incident can easily spark another, and the effects can stretch far beyond the original moment. Situations like this often create cycles that continue for years, pulling in more families, more friends, and entire neighborhoods into conflicts that never seem to fully end. That's the painful reality many communities face. One violent event can ripple outward, affecting people who had nothing to do with the original problem. Families are left grieving, neighborhoods feel the tension rising, and the sense of safety everyone hopes for becomes harder to hold on to. Meanwhile, Blacc Sam ended up in an extremely difficult position. From everything reported, he tried to handle the situation the right way. He attempted to calm things down, he offered the group a safe escort off the property, and he made it clear he didn't want his business or his brother's legacy pulled into street conflicts that had nothing to do with the restaurant. But because the violence happened so close to the event, and because his name is tied to the location, his name quickly became part of the conversation whether he wanted that attention or not. In situations like this, even when someone tries to keep the peace, the spotlight can still land on them once the headlines start spreading.
A day of celebration turns into chaos. Gunfire erupts at a packed block party.
The legal investigation into the shooting is still ongoing, and authorities are continuing to review what happened that day. According to law enforcement sources, there is reportedly clear video footage from multiple cameras that captured parts of the incident, and investigators have already identified potential suspects. But cases connected to gang-related violence are often difficult to prosecute. Getting witnesses to step forward, cooperate, and testify in court can be extremely challenging when people fear possible retaliation for speaking out. What happened at Marathon Burger in Long Beach didn't just become another local headline, it changed the conversation around community investment in a major way. For many people watching from the outside, the incident raised serious questions about how difficult it can be to bring new businesses and opportunities into neighborhoods dealing with long-standing tensions. The situation also placed Blacc Sam at the center of a tough crossroads. The decisions he makes moving forward could shape how Nipsey's legacy continues to grow. One major question is whether to keep building businesses in communities that clearly face safety challenges, or consider opening future locations in areas where families might feel more comfortable gathering without fear of violence. Another possibility is staying committed to the original mission and continuing to invest directly into the neighborhoods Nipsey always wanted to uplift. That path carries risk, but it also stays true to the message of ownership and empowerment that the Marathon brand was built on. For many in the hip-hop community, the incident delivered a harsh lesson that goes beyond just one restaurant opening. You can bring in celebrity support, resources, and positive intentions, but those things alone don't always stop deeper issues from surfacing. Major artists like Snoop Dogg, Big Boy, and YG were present to support the event, and their presence showed how much love there was for the project. But high-profile gatherings can also attract attention from people looking to prove something, settle conflicts, or create headlines of their own. In that way, the situation also highlighted the limits of celebrity involvement in community development. While famous supporters can bring awareness and excitement to positive projects, they can also unintentionally draw attention from individuals who want to disrupt those moments. For now, the Marathon Burger location in Long Beach remains closed, standing as a reminder of how quickly a celebration meant to represent progress and opportunity turned into something nobody expected. While the investigation continues and the family considers whether reopening is even safe, the original Marathon Burger location in Los Angeles is still running strong. That spot continues serving the community and still represents the vision Nipsey always talked about: ownership, opportunity, and economic empowerment. But a heavy question now hangs over everything. How many more incidents like this can happen before that vision becomes too difficult to maintain? That's the concern many supporters are quietly asking right now. The impact of the Long Beach shooting didn't stop with just one restaurant either. Other entrepreneurs who once thought about investing in similar neighborhoods are now thinking twice. Business owners who were inspired by Nipsey's example of building wealth and opportunity in underserved areas are now weighing the risk more carefully than ever. Because the truth is, this incident didn't just affect one family or one brand. It shook confidence around future investment in communities that already struggle to attract businesses and job opportunities. Situations like this highlight a deeper issue that many community leaders talk about. Real economic growth requires stability, cooperation, and a shared effort to protect positive spaces. When local conflicts overshadow business development, it becomes harder for entrepreneurs to feel confident bringing their investments into those areas. And the real tragedy is who suffers the most from that reality. It's the families who want safe places to eat, shop, and spend time together. It's the parents hoping their kids can find jobs instead of getting pulled into trouble. Those residents often end up losing the most when violence interrupts progress. In many ways, they become stuck in the middle of a problem they didn't create. Opportunities disappear, businesses close, and the neighborhood loses chances for growth because safety can't always be guaranteed. Blacc Sam was trying to honor his brother's legacy by creating something positive for the community. The goal was jobs, opportunity, and a place that represented progress instead of struggle. But moments like this show how fragile that progress can be. When violence interrupts efforts meant to build something better, the consequences reach far beyond the people directly involved. The young man who lost his life that day didn't just lose his own future. The entire community also lost something, a chance for a business that could have provided jobs, served families, and continued the mission of positive change Nipsey believed in so strongly. That's the real tragedy behind everything that happened. It's not just about one shooting, one life lost, or one restaurant shutting its doors. The bigger issue is the message this sends to every entrepreneur who might have been thinking about investing in communities that truly need opportunity. When violence becomes something people expect, when safety can't be guaranteed, and when local conflicts overpower economic progress, it makes development much harder to sustain. Businesses start looking elsewhere, investors pull back, and communities that deserve growth end up falling further behind. The impact also reaches deep into hip-hop culture itself. Nipsey Hussle's message about ownership and economic empowerment inspired a whole generation of artists, creators, and entrepreneurs to invest in their own neighborhoods. He pushed the idea that success should come back home and build something real for the people. But incidents like this shake that vision. They make some people question whether building in struggling communities is brave or simply too dangerous. Now, a lot of eyes are on Blacc Sam and what he chooses to do next. His decision moving forward could shape how Nipsey's legacy continues. Does he move future locations to safer areas where businesses can operate without constant risk? Does he pull away from neighborhoods facing heavy tensions? Or does he keep pushing forward with the same mission, possibly with stronger security and new strategies to protect the vision? Whatever direction he chooses will say a lot about how Nipsey's dream of economic empowerment survives in the real world. At the end of the day, real change requires communities, leaders, and residents all protecting the progress they say they want. Businesses can't thrive where celebration turns into chaos and where family events aren't respected as safe spaces, because the people who suffer the most aren't the headlines or the social media debates. It's the families who simply showed up to support something positive. Parents who brought their kids to celebrate a new business, young people who believed their neighborhood could grow into something better. When opportunities disappear, they lose the most: jobs, safe places to gather, and hope that progress can truly last. And that's why this moment will be remembered as more than just another incident. For many people, it became a symbol of how fragile progress can be when violence interrupts something meant to build a community instead of harm it. And if you made it this far, drop your thoughts in the comments because this conversation matters. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story so more people can hear what really happened and join the discussion.